A very good morning, everyone. This is Tanish Kisrani, your morning host. Let's look at the morning market news with Market Pulse by Tradia. The top story for today is Rajnath Singh approves expansion of negative list for defense imports in boost to Atmanirbhar campaign. In a major push to promote the domestic defense industry, Defense Minister Rajnath Singh on Monday approved imposing restrictions on the import of 108 military weapons and systems, such as next generation corvettes, airborne early warning system, tank engines, and radars. The first negative list for defense imports, comprising 101 items, was issued last year. The restrictions on import of the 108 items that figured in the second list will progressively come into effect in the period from December 2021 to December 2025. Now, let's look at the other breaking news. First, the world news. Loophole allows China firm to misuse green financing. The Institute for Energy, Economics and Financial Analysis examined the first batch of yuan-dominated carbon-neutral bonds issued this year by giant state-owned energy corporations such as China Energy Investment Corporation and the China Hunan Group. It is said that 30% of the proceeds from the bonds were to be allocated to the working capital of the issuers. The promise of green bonds is that they can help channel capital to energy transition investments. But potentially, the proceeds raised by the SOEs from these bonds deals could be spent on maintaining a steady or growing coal business, particularly as they have new coal assets in the pipeline. Morocco-Spain trade accusation of violating good neighborliness. Morocco and Spain traded new acquisitions on Monday in a diplomatic row triggered by the Western Sahara territorial issue that led this month to migration issue crisis in Spain's enclave in northern Morocco. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez described Morocco's action in appearing to relax border controls with the enclave as unacceptable and an assault on national borders. France and Germany seeking full clarity from US and Denmark on spying reports. France and Germany are seeking full clarity on a report claiming that one of Denmark's intelligence agencies helped the United States spy on several senior European officials, including the German Chancellor Angela Merkel, French President Emmanuel Macron. If the information is true, Macron said during a statement to the press following a virtual France-German summit, these practices are unacceptable between allies and even less acceptable between European allies and partners. Time has come for pandemic treaty as part of board reforms, WHO's Tedros. The head of World Health Organization called on Monday for launching negotiations this year on the international treaty to boost pandemic preparedness as part of sweeping reforms envisioned by member states. Tedros, WHO Director General, told its annual ministerial assembly that the UN agency faced a serious challenge to maintain its COVID-19 response at the current level and required sustainable and flexible funding. Now let's look at the world news, the domestic news. Reliance Jio partners with Sega to bring games to Jio Fiber set-top box. Reliance Jio has perhaps become the biggest gaming company to strike a deal with a global game giant. The company has partnered with Japanese gaming giant Sega to bring the company's game to its set-top box and other devices. The game will be available on the Jio Game Store, which is preloaded on Jio's set-top box and the Jio phone. The partnership begins with 2 games right now, and it's unclear whether more games will be added in future. Jio's partnership is good news for the Indian mobile gaming industry, which has been seeing more and more partnerships like this over the past year. As mentioned above, the partnership includes 2 games right now, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and Streets of Rage 3. The game will be available to Jio Fiber users first and will be the first Sega games to be available in Hindi and Tamil. While Jio handles distribution, the content development and other aspects of the games are still controlled by Sega. India's GDP growth 1.6% in March quarter but contracts 7.3% for fiscal year 21. 3 stocks, Bank of Baroda, Punjab National Bank and Sun TV Network are under FO ban for today. Securities in the ban period under the FO segment include companies in which the security has crossed 95% of the market-wide position limit. Jubilant Pharma's subsidiary Jubilant Pharma to invest $92 million to expand sterile injectable manufacturing capacity. Jubilant Pharma on Monday announced that it has developed a novel oral formulation of remdesivir, which the company said is likely to ease the capacity constraint that injectable formulation faces and ensure wider and timely availability of COVID-19 patients. The development includes successful completion of safety and studies showing absorption of the oral formulation in body of animals and healthy human volunteers in India. Aurobindo board to explore options for the injectables business. Hyderabad-based Aurobindo Pharma is looking to demerge its injectable business. The demerger process is expected to be completed in fiscal year 2022. One of the sources said the management has had initial talks with investment bankers to explore demerger of its injectables business and a few presentations have been made. Close to committing $1 billion to Moderna for COVID-19 booster shot, says Cipla. Seeking fast-track approval to bring Moderna's single-dose COVID-19 booster vaccine in India expeditiously, Cipla has requested the government for identification and exemption from price capping, bridge trials, and basic custom duties, while stating that it is close to committing over $1 billion as advance to the US major. Commending the government for its effort to increase the vaccine availability in the country for achieving effective protection against COVID-19, the Indian pharma giant has said its discussion with Moderna on the COVID-19 booster vaccine are nearing finalization, and for that they are seeking the partnership and support of the government to make this program successful. Government planning production link scheme to auto and auto ancillary sector cabinet approval soon. The government will soon come out with a detailed scheme to offer production linked incentive to automobile and auto component industry that will lay the roadmap and raise India's bar as a global manufacturing hub. RBI says banks can't use its 2018 circular to ban crypto transactions. The Reserve Bank of India said on Monday that banks cannot refer to its April 2018 circular struck down by the Supreme Court in 2020 to caution customers about trading in cryptocurrency, a move that was hailed by the promising industry. In recent weeks, several lenders, including HDFC Bank and State Bank of India, had officially flagged transactions relating to the purchase of cryptocurrencies, warning customers of curbs, including permanent closure of accounts. RBI extends banking license of Rupee Cooperative Bank till August 31. The Reserve Bank of India has prolonged the banking license of the Rupee Cooperative Bank till August 31. Till March 2021, the bank has made a whole restoration of rupees 263.93 crores and a mixture working revenue of rupees 70.7 crores over the last 5 years, a launch from the bank mentioned. The bank has taken steps like attachment of properties of defaulter borrowers, public auctions of the same, filing criminal suits against defaulters, borrowers, guarantors, etc. The bank has also informed the names of its defaulters, borrowers, guarantors to other banks for effective recovery, mentioned Sudhir Pandit, Administrator, Rupee Bank. Reduction in import duty for edible oil should be postponed. With international edible oil prices falling 6 to 8% in past 10 days, the industry has said any reduction in import duty should be done after Kharif oilseed planting is over, so that no negative signal goes out to the oilseed farmers. RBI cancels license of Maharashtra's Shivaji Rao Bhosle Shakari Bank. The Reserve Bank of India on May 31 cancelled the license of Shivaji Rao Bhosle Shakari Bank on Maharashtra, citing poor finances of the cooperative bank. Consequently, the bank ceases to carry on banking business with effect from the close of business on May 31, 2021. As per the data submitted by the bank, more than 98% of the depositors will receive full amounts of their deposits from Deposit Insurance and Credit Guarantee Corporation, the RBI said. Solara Active Pharma Science, Rajasthan Antibiotics, Dharti Lab, and Vital Laboratories get approval under PLI scheme for bulk drugs. The government has given approval to 4 waitlisted firms under the Production Linked Incentive Scheme for domestic manufacturing of bulk drugs. The Department of Pharmaceuticals had launched the PLI scheme for promotion of domestic manufacturing of critical bulk drugs, key starting materials, drug intermediates, and active pharmaceutical ingredients. It envisages setting up greenfield plants in 4 different target segments with a total outlay of rupees 6,940 crore for the period 2020-2021 to 2029-2030. Dr. Reddy in talks to bring single-dose Sputnik vaccine into India. into India. Hyderabad-based Dr. Reddy's laboratory is in talks with the government to bring Russia's single-dose Sputnik Light COVID-19 vaccine into the country. The Indian government is hopeful of a speedy launch of single-dose COVID-19 vaccine Sputnik Light in India, and all stakeholders, including the Russian manufacturer and its Indian partners, have been directed to fast-track the application and regulatory approval procedures for the jab to boost the country's vaccination drive. Now let's look at the world markets. As we can see, SGX Nifty is up by 0.43 percentage points. Kospi is up by 0.66 percentage points. Hang Seng is up by 0.21 percentage points, while Nikkei 225 is down by 0.40 percentage points. S&P 500 closed at the same at 4,204, while Nasdaq closed at an up of 0.09 percentage point and is now at 13,749. Gold is up by 0.56 percentage and is currently trading at 1,916.05, and USD to INR ratio is up by 0.02% and is currently trading at 72.494. Now let's look at the major data releases for today. In China, the Caixin Manufacturing Pmi was announced today at 7:15 a.m. It had a previous reading of 51.9. and is currently forecasted at 51.9. The Nikkei Market Manufacturing PMI in India will be announced at 10:30 a.m. today. It had a previous reading of 55.5 and is currently forecasted at 52. In Europe, the German Manufacturing PMI, which will be announced at 1:25 p.m. today, had a previous reading of 66.2 and is currently forecasted at 64. Once again in Europe, the German unemployment change, which will be announced at 1:25 p.m. today, had a previous reading of 9K and is currently forecasted at a negative 9K. In Europe, in the GBP, manufacturing PMI will be announced at 2 p.m. today, had a previous reading of 66.1 and is currently forecasted at 66.1. It is once again in Europe, the CPI year over year had a previous reading of 1.6% and is currently forecasted at 1.9%. The release will be announced at 2:30 p.m. today. At 5:50 p.m. in India, the imports to USD will be announced, which had a previous reading of 45.45 billion. Once again, at 5:50 p.m., the exports to USD will be announced, which had a previous reading of 30.21 billion. And once again in India, the trade balance will be announced at 5:50 p.m. today, which had a previous reading of a negative 15.24 billion and is currently forecasted at a negative of 15.2 billion. In the United States of America, the ISM manufacturing PMI, which had a previous reading of 60.7, is currently forecasted at 60.7. This will be announced at 7:30 p.m. today. The Q1 earnings releases are ITC, BEL, Gujarat Gas Limited, Max Financial Services, Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited. Now, to look at the market from a technical viewpoint, I would like to call Amit from the technical desk.
Thanks, Tanishq. Let's look at Sensex first. Sensex yesterday, as we had predicted, has already reached the top of the channel now. It closed 1% up yesterday. We should see it go right up till the all-time high of 52,463. We already mentioned yesterday that Sensex might underperform Nifty henceforth, considering that we would see large-scale moves in the mid-cap sector as opposed to the large-cap sector. Let's now look at Nifty. Nifty has already gone way above the all-time high. The current price is the all-time high that the Nifty has ever seen. If you just extend the channel right now, it seems like we might see some bearishness here onwards. Today seems to be a very important day as well because SEBI's new margin rules are going to kick in. So we might see some less upside on the markets. The pre-market open right now looks at roughly around 0.3% for the Nifty. So we are going even way past our previous prices. Let's look at now. Let's look at Bank Nifty now. Bank Nifty also 0.32% up in the pre-market session. We should see it go right up to 36,000 points. That should be ideally the level where we might see some sell-off. Let's have a look at Nifty IT. Nifty IT, as we had expected, is showing some kind of a flag pattern right now. If this particular flag pattern breaks away, we might see a decent upside move. So this particular trend channel that we are seeing here is part of the flag pattern, and any upside move that we see here on would depend on when the market would actually break through this particular trend channel. So it's up 0.38% today, although it's still within the trend channel region. Let's look at Nifty Pharma. Nifty Pharma, as we had expected earlier too, we are seeing some bearish pressure in Nifty Pharma. Although today the pre-market is up 0.24%, but broadly speaking, we have broken through the trend channel on the downside. Nifty Pharma would underperform the other sectors. Now that the COVID wave is actively receding, we have come down drastically from our all-time high in the COVID cases. Let's look at Nifty Fmc now. This is another sector that we are very positive about. It's already up 0.32%. Should go right up till 35,400 levels. That was the all-time high. We should be able to touch that very soon. Let's look at Nifty Auto now. Nifty Auto again looks like a very good price to buy as well. As of now, as we had mentioned yesterday, also the Ichimoku cloud is supporting this particular move. So we can actually see some upside move in the Nifty Auto industry. On the upside, go right up to 10,500 level, 10,600 levels. So that should be ideally the resistance that we're looking at. Let's look at Nifty Finserv. Nifty Finserv again, as we had expected yesterday, it went up by a decent amount. Today the pre-market open is up 0.36%. That again is an important level. It should go right up till 17,000 levels. That is what we are expecting. This index should actually outperform all the others as of now, because this is the first step towards the next bull run. So you should see some decent flows into the Nifty Finserv index. Finally, let's look at Nifty Energy. Nifty Energy currently is at a very decent resistance point. If this particular point is broken on the upside, we don't have any other resistances apart from the channel top, which is somewhere around 20,100, 20,200 levels. So ideally speaking, we should be looking at 20,100 levels as the next resistance if the current resistance or the current price rather is broken down. That's it from our technical desk, and you can now ask our questions. We would be happy to engage with you on that. We'll wait till the market open at 9:15 and then we'll shut down this meeting. On a side note, we would like to mention that we are not SEBI registered advisors. Please do your own research before investing. We have a question which states, which asks the difference between standalone and consolidated profits. So standalone generally refers to something which is only from one particular division or one particular section of the company. Let's say you have Reliance, which has multiple different industries within itself, multiple different factories. So a standalone profit would ideally mean the profit of one of those factories. The consolidated one ideally means the profit or the results of the entire firm as a whole. So that would be the ideal difference between the two results that you're seeing. We'll just wait out for the market open. We'll announce the market opening prices, and then we'll shut down today's pulse. All right, so the market is now open. Nifty has opened roughly about 0.2%. We are coming down slightly after that decent enough open. So we might see it come down. We believe we might see some bearish pressures. However, eventually it has to go up. We have already mentioned that we look at Nifty somewhere going right up to 17,000, 18,000 levels. Sensex also is up now. The move seems to be broadly in line with what we had predicted. It shows 1% up, although I think that's pretty much yesterday's move. So Bank Nifty is up 0.15% again. It should go right up till, as we had earlier mentioned, 36,000 levels. That should be the ideal level. CNX IT, that is Nifty IT, 0.46% up. So we might be actually looking at the important flag break. The flag pattern might have actually broken out. So if you see it, an ideal way right now would be to go into this particular move, into the Nifty IT, go long on Nifty IT. You can go on any of the Nifty IT products. You can go long on Wipro or any other companies, basically, TCS. With a stop loss of 26,900, that should be the ideal 300-point move that we're looking at. On the upside, a minimum of 600, 700 points should be the ideal move. So this looks like a very important move. The only condition being this particular open that we are seeing right now, it should stay throughout the day. So wait out for the day. If it becomes clear that the entire move that we're seeing currently is going to sustain, it should ideally be a good time to buy into the Nifty IT stocks. Nifty Pharma is almost unchanged, 0.09% broadly. Nothing, not a big change yet. Nifty FMCG is up 0.23%. Nifty Auto is up 0.5%. That again is a very big move. As we are predicted, we are very close to the Ichimoku cloud. So we have been seeing that regularly. 0.5% up is a very decent move. Nifty Finserv again 0.28% up. And finally, Nifty Energy is down 0.03%, taking resistance from the current levels of 19,900. That's it from our desk today. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Have a nice day.